All right, here we are, the most exciting thing that we have going today, the intro to MindBody. Go to MindBody Online, clients.mindbodyonline, and you'll find this page, and you'll put your login and your password and click login. Once we get in there, that's where the fun happens. So what this video is about is to show you the basics of the page and how it works, kind of the mechanics, and also give you an idea of how to navigate the page, what to expect in certain aspects when you do open your pages, and explain. Basic stuff. Here we go. When you log in, it might bring you to this page. If it doesn't, don't freak out. You're not in another planet. I've chosen to actually go to this page. I believe if you click Tools, yeah, you can actually select that here. If you go to Tools, the dashboard will give you. This is the dashboard as my default screen. If you want to select that, you can. You might be able to select it here, right? So that's the home page. We're not going to do a lot of work in here. We're just going to kind of jump around a bit. So search for or jump to a client. This is where you can search for information for a client. If I type in a customer's name, we're going to use our good old testy client and hit enter when they come up. Once it populates, it'll bring me to that client's profile page. Boom. All right, so just want to kind of let you know what this does. We're going to click home to go back to my home screen. I want to skip to private lessons because you're going to spend a lot of time there. So let's do that. We'll go over here to this tab, go to private lessons. These tabs really control everything in terms of navigation. You can also use your backspace bar thing over here if you want. It's helpful, but MindBody does a pretty good job of populating information when you need it, and I'll explain that later. Private lessons. This is really the home page of where you do most of your work, and I want to explain the layout for a little bit. Over here you'll see a kind of a quick jump calendar, so I can jump from, say, today to the 30th, and it'll give me all that information pretty quickly, as you can see. Or I can just go to today to get back to, obviously, today with one click of a button, whenever it feels like loading. There we go. If I go back to the top screen here, Tuesday, September 19th, you'll see some drop-down information. Now, this is helpful for a couple of different places. It's going to be automatically selected for all service categories and all instructors. But if you wanted to, say, look at, let's go to Don's availability. Right? Let's do this. All instructors, and then we'll select Don. It'll give his availability just for today. If you wanted to see his weekly availability, you select week, and at some point it'll load, there we go, and show you what his availability is for the week. So for this particular instructor, again, these are the instructors that will be here, not students. Sorry if I didn't make that clear. These are the instructors. You'll see that he has a lot of students booked here. These are all students that are booked. You'll see the time, pretty much in line with the grid here. And if you hover over it, you'll see the student's name and the instrument that they're taking. You can also see it in the pop-up screen what instrument they're taking. If you wanted to get more information, you can click this box and it'll show you a little bit more. Student's name. To clarify this, all clients that are in MindBody are students. We don't book by the parent's name. We book by the student's name. This is most likely a child. I'm assuming it is. But this is the person's, this is the best contact information. And this is also the email address, the best email address to get. These are two very important pieces of information because we do text message reminders home, and we also do email reminders home. Scroll down in this left-hand window a little bit more. You see the staff person, the instructor's name, again, the guitar lesson, or the lesson that they're taking, the type of lesson, the time at which they're taking it, the room in which they're taking it. This is actually a pretty important thing, right? And that's pretty much that. If I deselect this, hitting that X, it gets me out of that. And if I want to go back to the home screen, I will select day. And it should default to this, all instructors. So if I want to get back to the whole day in total, I'll just go select this button and it'll bring me back to the day. Hope that was clear. Okay, moving on. Again, you can see all the students that are booked today. Go to the bottom left-hand corner. Looks to be 64, 26. I'm going to do some bad math right now. 74, 81, maybe about 87 lessons for the day. And I'll explain some of these colors. So this is a really good example. This person, Julie, seems to have no-showed for her lesson. This is brown, meaning that they didn't show up. We'll leave that brown and apply payment to the teacher if that's available. That'll be explained later. Again, I'm surprised Ann didn't show. These might not be updated yet, but this is, again, no-show for this person too. It just looks like they might not be updated. These blank spots are probably what you're thinking, which they are availabilities. It says, as soon as you scroll over it, book Don Albert. So we can do that right now, but that's for a later tutorial. Each instrument has a color. I don't know them all off the top of my head, but as you can see, guitar is blue, brass is green, so on and so forth. Makes it colorful, a little bit easier to remember. Violin over here is like a yellowy, orangey thing. As you go through the day, you'll notice that there's a color that looks like this. These are people that confirmed. Customers can confirm at home by a click of a button. So like I said, it's important for us to get the information from them, such as phone number and email. And MindBody will send reminders to them about their lesson for the next day, which is incredibly helpful. But it'll also give them the option to confirm. And once they do that, it'll reflect on our end with this color, so we'll know that they're actually coming. Most people don't use it. As you can tell, this lighter shade here is how many people use that function in MindBody on their end, and I would say it's a good 20 to maybe 20% of the customer base does it. All right, so this is the screen, the navigation screen in terms of like what you're going to see, just plain old information right in front of you. Let's skip camps, let's skip recording studio. We'll go to repairs. This is a function that we use pretty often. This is for booking repairs at the studio. It works just like the booking lessons portion, only this time we're going to book a repair for a technician. So Taryn has this availability for today for 1 to 1:30, and basically we use this a little bit differently. If somebody comes in with an instrument, you're able to really pick a time here that works for Taryn. You might want to give her a call and then book the repair. This way it's in the system, and the customer gets the notification that the repair is scheduled, and Taryn or the technician gets notified that the repair is scheduled. It's a really effective way to get that work done and paid for. We'll skip room schedule and go to clients. So I'll spend some time in this page. This is, again, another important page. So our friend Testy Client everybody has their own profile page, which gives them, we have access to their first name, their last name, their mobile number, which is usually what everybody's given us, their address. The other required information is address, their home address, and their billing information would be put down here if you're ever inputting information for a client. In this area here, this is a staff alert. If you wanted to put information in here, this is important because we're able to see pertinent information right away, so I'll show you what I mean. I'll just put some plain old information here that doesn't really mean anything and click Save. What ends up happening is that this staff alert will always pop up every time you go to that customer's page. So as you're being trained at the studio, communication is extremely important, and this is one of the tools of communication that we use to make sure that we're giving the client an extraordinary experience. If you don't want to use this information, you can click Ignore, or if the information is old and you want to get rid of it, you can click Erase Alert, which I'm going to do right now because we don't really need that information there. Up here, you'll see a bunch more tabs to use for the client profile. Contact logs is another important area of communication for us. The reason why this is important, it's more of a thread of information that we're able to share with one another. So I'll give you an example. If there's an issue that comes up, if we mess up in any such a way, or any sort of way, or if unfortunately the customer might be somewhat difficult at days, or they have very specific needs, this is a great opportunity for us in this area to put that information in, and so that others can read it. Because remember, you're not the only person working at the desk. There are other people working there. If you have a situation that is defined in the employee operations manual that needs a follow-up, if it needs attention, or if it's a story that would be helpful to paint the picture of the customer's history, needs, or preferences, this is a great area to put that in. Another good use of this area is to give follow-up dates for any of the information. So once we have information put in here about the client, or maybe a task that needs to be done, any of the things that I've said, we can actually have a follow-up due alert put in for a specific date. Click Save, and that will actually populate somewhere that everyone can see it. So once this works, hopefully it will do. Yes, there you go. So I put this just word here just to save it, and put a follow-up due alert for today's date. And as you can tell, this turned red, which means that we have to follow up. Now you're probably asking, well, how do I follow up with this person? Well, up here in this red area here, the contact log follow-ups, you'll see it. Testy client information needs to be followed up on, as well as pretty much every other follow-up that needs to happen for the day. This is extremely helpful because it helps us communicate, and I can't stress that any more than you can possibly imagine. Communication and organization are extremely important to our success. Okay, so we'll go back up here. That's contact logs. Scheduling. You're not going to see any schedules in Mr. Testy Client's account, but this is where you would see their recurring schedule. Visits. This is where you would see their history of visits. It's very helpful in determining how long they've been here, when they've canceled, and so on and so forth. Purchases. Again, another helpful place that tells a story about the customer. When their last purchase was. When their next purchase is due would be located here, and account details. And if this person had a contract attached to it, which we'll go over, you would see that contract here, how many lessons they have left, and also when their next payment would be due. Last but not least is retail. Retail is where you give our clients, where our clients give us money. I'll go through this as a basic walkthrough in this page, but we'll have more of an in-depth dive in a little bit. You can see when you click that tab, it brings you to a retail point of sale where you can add an item that they can actually purchase, and then at the end of this you would see a place to run their card, which is 99% of our transactions. So this is the basic overview of how everything works. I guess the last thing I'd like to go through would be the time clock for agents. This is where you clock in, and at the end of your shift, clock out. All right? So sit tight. There's a bunch more exciting and incredible stuff to talk about.